Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Wilds War Cry. I am your host, Stephen Wilds. I have with me again the master of the useless statement, Ulysses.
Thank you for having me.
And also,
get into it.
Joining us once again, that I don't really have a good one for you. I'm gonna work on one. I'll get back to you, and we'll do this again. But Chris is here.
Yeah, that's me.
All right, good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Guys, I'm fucking excited. Can you tell?
You're acting like The Rock now. I'm scared.
Oh, okay. No, I'm excited because I thought this WrestleMania build-up was going to be shit. And now I'm excited for the WrestleMania because of a certain pay-per-view that we are going to be discussing, the 2016 Royal Rumble. No, nobody? Oh, okay. Maybe I am a little too excited. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about this. First, really quick, Ulysses, what do you actually remember from last year's Royal Rumble?
I remember a ton of booing. I remember an amazing triple threat match.
I do remember that, right? And who won? Who won last year's Royal Rumble?
Won Roman Reigns.
Chris, what do you remember about last year's Royal Rumble?
Boo! And a really good triple threat match.
Okay.
That's my genuine fear for Brock Lesnar began because him rushing in at the end of that match, I was afraid for everybody in that arena.
You realized he could break people, legit like.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, the point I'm getting to is that as this Royal Rumble got closer, I went back and I watched the triple threat match, which was the best part of last year's Royal Rumble. And then I started to watch the Royal Rumble, but it just all hit me at once. It was like a wave of emotions that I just couldn't fucking handle because it was bad. It was really bad. And I didn't know how to deal with that. So as this year was approaching, I figured it was just going to be another poorly booked WWE event. I read that Pat Patterson and Triple H were booking the Rumble again this year, which they've booked the last few. I don't know. I wasn't really looking forward to it. Even the rumors of certain people that might be showing up in the match itself, and I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me. But I'm glad to say, I think we were a little surprised, right?
Very much so.
Very surprised, actually.
Right. Well, let's kick it off. Let's start at the top. First of all, I actually caught the pre-show this year because work let out early. So there was a pre-show. Renee looked great as usual, and there was some talking. I kind of zoned out in a lot of this, but a match was announced. A four-way, so 8 men total, teams of 2. And what I thought made this interesting, because we're not going to talk about this very much, whichever team won claimed the last 2 spots in the Rumble. I actually really liked that idea. It made it feel like that match wasn't just some throwaway pre-show match. It almost made it feel like the match was worth watching. Ulysses, what'd you think?
I did not like it. I thought the stipulation to it was dumb and worthless. The Dudley Boys need to fire their agent.
Why is that?
Because, last year's Rumble, Bubba Ray Dudley was welcomed back as a hero and whatnot. And when they came back, it's like they came back and they were just like, they weren't given the respect that they obviously are deserved because they're the damn Dudley Boy. But to put them in this match and not in something better, it's kind of weird to me.
I see what you're saying, but here's the thing. I really think that the Dudley Boys were brought in to enhance the tag team division. And, I can't say, for those of you who don't know, Mark Henry and Jack Swagger won, which I actually kind of like that team up. On paper, that team up sounds like it should be okay. But I was kind of shocked when they won. I figured the Dudley Boys had this, in hand. I just assumed that they would be the winners and they would take the last 2 spots and everything would be great. But to be honest, if you look at it, they're doing their job. They signed a contract to do a job. They are enhancing the tag team division, even though after their feud with New Day, I don't know exactly what they're doing with them. I don't know. To me, this was also interesting because we got to see Darren Young, who's been dealing with a lot of medical issues, so it's cool to see him back. Oddly, they teamed him up with Sandow. Hey, Chris, were you excited to see Sandow back in his original gimmick?
Yes, I was actually very excited, and when I saw that he was in the match, I was actually changed my pick from the Dudleys to him. But then, all of the match actually happened. Fortunately, I could not watch it because of issues with time and all that. But yeah, I really wished he would have won because him coming out in the Rumble would have made a much bigger pop than Mark Henry and Jack Swagger.
Yeah, go ahead.
And like you said, they make a good team on paper. I disagree. I mean, just those two. Like if Mark Henry's in a tag team, he's got to be tagged up. He's got to be teamed up with a little guy. I mean, that just always seems fitting for him. He doesn't seem like a two big guy type of tag team, but that's just me nitpicking there.
Okay.
And yeah, I just really wish Sandow would have won because I'm a smark and all that.
Okay, so but we're all in agreement that Ascension had no chance. No chance, right?
Oh God, no.
They had no chance the second they got called up. They were not gonna succeed in the main.
All right, I'm really hoping for those guys to get repackaged soon. I'm praying for that. So the match ended. We get the start of the show. I kind of like the whole theme of the statue-esque figures and gladiators, but is it just me or did all the statues start to look alike too much? And they spent too long on it, but it was neat. I'm glad they tried.
I like that they continuously showed the John Cena one when he was nowhere to be found in the pay-per-view.
Do you guys remember how we used to shove him down your throats? Here's a statue.
It's amazing.
All right, good. So I want to talk about the opening match. And as we have discussed many times on this podcast, your opening match really sets the pace for a pay-per-view. It really can get the crowd into the rest of the night if it's a good one. And sometimes depending on what all matches you have on the card, it can honestly be the one that steals the show. I have seen many a pay-per-view where the first match remains to be one of the most memorable ones. And I think tonight is a really good example of that because the first match was the last man standing match between Dean Ambrose and one of my favorite wrestlers right now, Kevin Owens. So, what did you think, Ulysses, about this match?
It was a fun, really damn fine, entertaining match. I was terrified that WWE was going to blow its load way too early because exactly what you said, that the first match was going to pretty much blow everything out of the water, which for the most part was the case, but we'll get into that. It was the thing that I loved about this match is that it's like the company finally did what, to be honest, is what I've been asking. I don't know what everybody else has been asking for, but it's like they let two guys who are world-class performers in their craft, and they just let them go. They just said, you know what, look, this is how much time we're going to give you, blow us out of the water. And they did. They put such like a psychologically filled match, and it worked to perfection. And these two guys worked so damn well off each other. And it sucks because it looks like they're blowing the feud off now, but damn it, I wish they could do like 5 more pay-per-views of this.
I agree with you 100%. It didn't hit me until later in the night, and we'll get to that. But it didn't hit me that really seemed like the blow-off for their feud. And I originally I thought this was going to go all the way to WrestleMania. I thought we were in for just a huge, huge finale on the biggest stage of them all.
Yeah, and those two wrestlers deserve to have their feud blow off at WrestleMania of all things. Because they just imagine what they would do in Dallas, man. That'd be amazing.
Chris, we saw several things. Tablets being used, a couple of kendo sticks. One of the barricades got destroyed. At one point, I actually asked, how many chairs do we honestly need in the ring? What was your favorite moment from this match?
Okay, I got 2 favorite moments. First one, get it out of the way quick, is the ending double table spot, because anytime you put one table on top of another and send somebody through both of them, I'm a fan of that.
Okay.
Do more of that. And I loved how that was the ending of the match. Kevin Owens wasn't trapped under anything. He wasn't handcuffed to anything. He was legitimately down for a 10 count.
I agree.
And my other favorite moment was when Kevin Owens got sent over the announce table and made a point to mess with Cole.
Yeah.
Specifically going after his face and trying to rip his headset off, or at least that's what it looked like to me.
Did you see his tweet where he tweeted something to effect? He tweeted something to the effect. It was a gif of that moment, and he tweeted something to the effect of, "I may have lost, but I still took out Michael Cole," or something like that. It was really funny.
Oh man.
Those two must be like really good friends backstage, because for them to mess with each other to that level,
Yeah.
they must be really good friends backstage.
I think also Owen seems to be the kind of guy like he picks on everybody a little bit. So I don't know. It's just I'll admit that made me laugh. The moment that really stuck out to me was Owens catching Ambrose when he dove at him. That was really cool. The only thing was that not long after that, the one spot in the match I actually didn't like was the Hurricane Rana, which looked really like maybe it's just the timing was off or whatever. It was the only spot in the match that really stuck out to me as not great.
Another spot that I didn't like was when I forgot who I think it might have it was Kevin Owens because he broke the kendo stick over his knee and then he tried to impale Dean Ambrose with it, and that looked awkward.
That's that old 1950s 60s mentality of wrestling.
Right.
That's like that's that kind of move you would use in the era of wrestling where like a claw was a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
Like it works psychologically, just not in this era.
Here's the problem. Doing it the way that they did it, where they're not using blood and they're not doing stuff. Because if you had gone to that place, you could really compare that easily to some old school ECW stuff. But doing it the way they were doing it was like late 60s, early 70s wrestling, where you're just getting the crowd into the painful moments and the animations of what you're doing. I completely agree with Ulysses there.
Yeah, and then let's not forget probably my favorite spot, and I saw it when they set the table near the corner, and he does like that fisherman suplex through it.
Oh yeah, I marked out so hard.
Reasons for that. Good. And it's a fisherman suplex, Steve. It's not you, Stephen Wild. It's
yeah,
Steve
I know what you mean. Yeah.
That guy kept calling it a package powder. It's not even close. Anyway.
Well, in his defense, it does look like he was going for like a package move, but yeah, that's what it is.
In his defense, he's old and he can't see anyway.
Or as Michael Cole would call it, look at that throw.
Yeah, it was amazing.
There was some really good stuff. I know Ulysses doesn't like to call it dirty deeds anymore because that's not what it is. But when he did that one on the chair that was later in the match, like you could just the noise that made. I was like, "Yep, he should be dead."
I was like, I'd be satisfied if the match ended right there.
Yeah.
But just saying this, not saying that I would want Kevin Owens to win, but I would have much rather have seen Kevin Owens do the moonsault on the chairs. Granted, that would have done some serious damage to the kid.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have. That was interesting though. That was an interesting chair formation they were making.
I would have much rather have seen Kevin Owens just eat it on that than the tables, but I get for the sense of like the man's safety, that's probably the safer choice, quote unquote.
I actually had a thought before I realized that this was going to be kind of the blow off for them. I thought, what if they did that again, but actually went through with that move at WrestleMania?
That's his WrestleMania moment. He finally hits the damn moonsault.
Okay, so just genuine question. We're going to talk about where people are going from here, but I think overall I would say I'm very satisfied with Owens versus Ambrose as a feud. Would you two agree?
As long as they don't add more people and do like what they did last year in WrestleMania.
You mean with the 9-person ladder match for the IC belt? Yeah, well, I hate to say this, but probably, and we'll talk about this further, but probably either the US belt or the IC belt will be a multiple man challenge for the belt.
I could see that for the US belt, but the way they've been building up the Intercontinental, I just don't see them doing that with the IC.
Actually, with Kalisto holding the US belt, I could see a ladder match a lot more out of that, or some type of match like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the New Day, your tag team champs, versus the Usos. I didn't notice it the first time I watched it, but as I was watching it through again, I have to agree. I didn't realize that the Usos were getting booed when they came out. It wasn't like the worst or anything, but they were getting booed. And once again, Xavier Woods, to me, just them coming out and their whole segment, and Francesca too. I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot. Ulysses, tell me what you thought about this.
I hate that they brought Francesca too. It kind of just, I don't know. I thought they were gonna move on from that, and maybe they could. It's the thing that like Chris Jericho said when he turned heel. It's like everything the crowd liked from me, I took it from them, so they cannot like me.
Right.
They're supposed to be the heels. Don't like. Granted, he finally smartened up where like the crowd was chanting for Francesca, and he's like, I ain't playing for you guys. No, I play when I want to. That's smart. If he continues to do that, that's smart. But I don't like that they brought another one.
Here's the problem. Jericho was trying to play a truly hated heel, and the thing with the New Day is whether or not they're trying to do that or not, they're just over heels. Like they're just they're heels that the fans want to cheer for.
Yeah, but they have done good jobs of getting like the cheap heat, and cheap nonetheless. It's still some kind of heat. Like they've gone to some cities that love them, and they've got legit boos from the crowd because of some of the stuff that they said. Yeah. They could go on continuing being a fantastic heel group without the use of Francesca. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sick of the damn trombone. Like it was fun. It's because it's kind of annoying to see like an inanimate object be more over than like 90% of wrestlers on the planet.
But that always happens. It does.
Granted, they did make a mythical creature become more over than 90% of all wrestlers on the roster.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I like seeing Xavier Woods get involved. They used him well during this match. There were some really good sequences, no matter what you want to say negative about the Usos. Watching these guys work together and work with their speed and the timing was really good. This was also the match that reminded me, and I was watching this with someone who didn't realize how much height Big E could get on that splash he does.
Good
because
God,
I can't imagine being the person like taking that move, and it's like this guy who has to weigh 300 at least, right? Sure,
somewhere around there.
I think he's billed at like 315.
Yeah, it's 3 something.
I see it.
But like these 300 pounds, and this dude just has this expression of giddy happiness as he is coming down on you from the sky. It's painful. He didn't do his move on the apron where it looks like he kills somebody every time he does it.
Yeah, we would have seen a murder if he did that.
All right.
Good God, why would anybody willingly take that spot? Good God.
So this match isn't the best match I've seen from either of these teams in a while, but that ending, I think, might be one of the better endings I've seen in a while, because you had the whole silent tag thing that was well-timed, then this just huge catch from Big E that just made him look unstoppable. I don't know. What did you think of the ending?
I thought it was a big ending, but I'll be here all night.
God. All right. Ulysses, you talk now so I don't have to think about that anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we love Christopher Kaufman. Second, that is the most comfortable ending because you land on Big E first, and that's like landing on a big old pile of cotton. It's like just amazing. And then you take the finisher, which you just land face first onto the most comfortable area that it looks like. That's probably like, if there's a way you want to go down on a match, that's probably the best way. Like, just land on just the most comfortable thing known to man.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, you heard it there. Chris,
secondly,
Go ahead.
Oh, continue.
Chris, was there anything else you wanted to add about this match?
It was just, like, going into it, I was just wondering, I mean, eventually, I hate to think about it, but the New Day is going to eventually become stale. But after watching this match, I'm just like, I don't think they can. Just their natural charisma and talent and ability just blows everything out of the water. I mean, I got a newfound respect for the New Day, even though I never lost respect for them in the first place. It's just, they are over. And big ending.
What about your respect for someone like Kalisto? What is that like these days?
Oh, through the roof. I mean, the work he puts in and how likable he is for everybody in the audience. Like, the kids love him because he's all colorful. He's got the draw from the Hispanic audience because of obvious reasons. Then for the smart marks, he's got all the fancy moves and the glitz and the glamour that they love. And personally, I like all three of those things combined. and his finishing move, the Salina del Sol, it might be the most beautiful move in the WWE right now.
Okay, all right, I get that. Sounds good. Let's talk about his match against Alberto Del Rio, and this is for the U.S. title. And just a little bit of quick backstory for those who may not be keeping up with every Raw and SmackDown. Interestingly enough, Kalisto comes out and challenges Del Rio, who had been holding the U.S. title since he won at Alcina, and he wins. But then I believe the following SmackDown, he loses the title back to ADR. And so this was kind of their rubber match in a way. And I don't know if this is the end of their feud. We'll talk about that in just a second. But it's kind of neat. You don't see a lot of quick title changes like that, especially on television, as much anymore. So that was kind of cool. Plus, I got to say, I've actually really enjoyed their match series so far. These two seem to work well together. When ADR first came in, the first person they really put him against was Rey Mysterio. And I think this was because they knew the two would work well together. And he seems to, he's been doing luchador style. So he seems to work better with these lighter guys and these guys who are high flyers and stuff. I think it worked really well. What do you think, Ulysses?
It's a good, fun match. I just feel like Del Rio is no longer entertaining in any sense of the word. Like, Steven, you saw his work in Lucha Underground, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of his work that he did in AAA, which those two companies have like a business relationship, I believe.
They do.
He looked like he was having the time of his life working there because he was able to do moves that he probably wasn't able to do in WWE, and he looked like he was having more fun. He looked like he was giving more of a damn. Lately, I feel like a lot of his matches, he's going through the motions. Like, you're gonna see the tilt-a-whirl slam. You're gonna see the backbreaker, not the backbreaker, God damn it, I can't think of the name.
Backstabber?
Yeah, the backstabber. You're gonna see the backstabber. Whenever he fights a smaller guy or more athletic guy, you're gonna see like the reverse suplex from the top rope. And the thing is that like he's had the same match since he's come back. The only time it's been slightly different is when he's fought against John Cena. And I don't know, like, I want him to look like he's giving a damn when he's wrestling. He looks like he's bored out there. I mean, that may be just me, but he looks like he's bored out there.
I've always had like sort of a little soft spot for Del Rio just because I don't know why, he just reminds me, like, looking at him, he looks like a Hispanic version of my dad, so I don't know why every time I see him, I'm like, oh, well, he looks like my dad, so, I mean, I can't really hate him that much.
Interesting. Might be some father issues going on there.
All right. Well, anyway. But, like, the match itself, I thought it was a very well-worked match. I mean, like you said, you got a Del Rio match. I mean, you got to see all of his moves, which is... Maybe that's, come to think of it, that might just be the theme of the League of Nations, because Sheamus does the exact same thing. Rusev doesn't have enough moves in his repertoire just yet to do the same thing, but, you never know. He's the most complete out of all of them, and then, King Barrett's just there. And
he does his best move, getting hurt.
Well, he's still dealing with shoulder problems, apparently.
True.
Like, I don't know what's going on with that.
But, like, what you were saying earlier, Steven, is... You felt like this could have more to it. I felt like this match was their sort of blow off match. Like the way they ended it, and then or later on in the Rumble when Del Rio came out, it almost seemed like he didn't care about the fact that he just lost. He's just focusing on his League of Nations business and all that.
Yeah.
So I think they're just gonna move on from that, and Kalisto's going to find some other new person to fight with, whoever that might be.
Right. They'll probably set him up for WrestleMania thing, and we'll talk about that some more. I really think that what made this match good was that, one, I do like Del Rio a good bit, but two, these guys were doing some really cool moves. Some of them which were so fast at points I'm like, did they screw up, or was that just a really well-timed move? It's one of those things. There was a move that Kalisto did at one point, and I really thought, I was like, I have no clue if he actually meant to do that, but he made it look good. Also, anyone can throw somebody the size of Kalisto around the ring, and whatever you want to say, like it makes some of Del Rio's moves look way more painful because he just picked this dude up and tossed him.
And
There
then
was
this
that.
is also continue.
There was that obvious botch in the match where he went to do that like jumping
The code red.
some flip power.
Right.
But he managed to turn it into a roll up in a way that didn't look too terribly bad. Like it had a nice transition into it, but you could tell that if he would have pulled that off, that would have made the match like so much better just for that spot alone.
I had actually forgotten about that. That's a good point.
And then this is my fear for this, because WWE does a really good, for the most part, a really good time. Like they do a really good job of booking the underdog chasing the title.
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily do a good job of the underdog with the title.
Correct.
Because the most glaring one, because it's gonna probably be like almost exactly, was when Mysterio won the world title. He looked like a damn chump ever since when he won the first time when he won it at WrestleMania. After that, he looked like a damn chump. Like he was getting tossed around.
Yeah, I don't think he won but like 1 or 2 matches as a champion.
There's a big argument for what you're saying here. I can see a lot of people agreeing with you on that sentiment.
And I'm just afraid because Kalisto was bigger than the Lucha Dragon. Like I understand tagging him with Sin Cara, but he should have been a singles guy from the beginning. The same way they booked Neville, which is he's not the tallest man. Granted, he has the muscle that makes him look like a living Wolverine, but the same way you booked him, why couldn't you book Kalisto like that?
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. I had Wolverine jokes for days. No,
that's
I
my
agree.
fault. That's my fear. Like,
I agree with that.
Don't make him look like a chump. Sorry.
And the other problem is, of course, that we just saw 2 really good matches with really good endings, and this ending to me was the weakest of the whole night as far as endings go. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing that they're moving him on, but we'll see.
Wait, this was the weakest one?
Weakest ending, like the actual ending sequence of
That's
matches.
He put a little extra flair on that last Alita del Sol that I just watched that over and over again. It's just like
that's an impressive move, but okay, I guess an ending shouldn't just be your last move. It's the lead in and the build up and the whether or not you have the fans in. The stuff in the previous 2 matches
just kind of seemed rushed.
Yeah, it did. I almost wonder if the ref was like, "Okay, take it home. We got to go."
I don't know. This ending didn't end with a jacket.
Okay, well, we do want to talk about that, and you have a point here. So, the next match was the champion Charlotte versus Becky Lynch for the Divas title. But the match itself, I will say that before we talk about the match, I will say that when the Divas Revolution, as they called it, started, I was very intrigued. I loved the concept. I liked the idea of female stables. It was all coming together. And then, as we've discussed in a recent podcast, it quickly dropped off. However, there were some things happening. They started doing some stuff with Paige. We had a couple other divas take the back seat. And I actually got more into the Charlotte and Becky feud once that kind of got settled and got really started. However, the problem with it is, unfortunately, it made Becky seem kind of gullible or naive, whatever you want to say. And it just didn't seem like it was really coming in well until these past couple of weeks. I think they really stepped up their game in the past couple of weeks. And the video package that aired right before this match did an amazing job of showing the build. Had they condensed the original build into a couple of weeks like that, I think you would have seen a much more positive response to this. So I was actually looking forward to this match more between Becky and Charlotte. What did you think, Ulysses?
About Becky, the word I actually used to refer to Becky is that she was an idiot. Because Charlotte was obviously cheating, and she was like, no, that can't be, you're an idiot, I'm sorry. Your character comes off as being very idiot. And while you were speaking, I was like shaking my head yes, because you were right on the money. Ever since our last podcast, I had a big gripe on about her because I just don't see what they're doing with her character. It's not likable at all. She's coming off as a buffoon. But in these last couple weeks, she went from being an idiot to a proper face to someone who, if you push too far, she will do what she needs to do to win.
Right.
Which I guess you could say is kind of Healy, but it really wasn't, because it's one of those things where the crowd goes like, yeah, who cares? Like Charlotte got her medicine, which I'm okay with that. And they're finally improving her character, which is the best thing you could do for Becky, because like Charlotte's gonna get that push because she's with her dad, which she needs to stay away from. Paige is already over. Sasha's the second most over woman in the world behind Bayley. Becky's kind of the one that was like she needed WWE needed to find a good way to get her over, and she's done a fantastic job of that. I still hate her shirt, because every time I see her shirt, I think it says ass licker, and it's the most disturbing shirt
You're
ever.
just dyslexic, man. It's okay.
Look at that shirt on a quick glance, and you're not going to tell me it doesn't say ass licker.
I'm sorry, side note, her outfit, finally, I didn't have any problems with it. Usually when Becky comes out in her weird outfits, there's at least one or two aspects that I'm like, really? Did we think this was a good idea? But I actually liked her gear this time.
I prefer her gear when she first came out, not as the Irish, but when she kind of looked like Lita. I thought that was good. But anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But like, obviously this match wasn't a barn burner. It obviously wasn't Sasha Bayley. But it was a damn fine match. It was a good women's match. My biggest, let's just get this out of the way. The Ric Flair thing was disturbing as all hell.
Hold on, before we get to the infamous jacket, I want to say that this match in the beginning had some amazing counters, some really good reversals. We actually got to see some of the Charlotte wrestling that I remember from NXT. Those leg headlock flips that she was doing and everything.
Oh, I love that.
There were some sequences in this match that made me remember, it's like, this is what I used to think about when I would watch NXT women's wrestling. So
Also, I think what Ulysses was trying to say, he was trying to address the elephant in the room of the fact that Ric Flair still thinks he's a kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, all that type of deal.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually blocked that out. You're right. No, and
if you think that was planned, you are a fool.
It fits to his character, but I still don't think he should have done it.
I was taking bets with the person I watched the pay-per-view with over whether or not that was planned. Because if anyone would just do that out of the spur of the moment to get a reaction, it's Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to think that there was a PR guy or someone in the back with WWE who knows Ric Flair well enough to go, hey, Rick, let's talk about this. I don't know. But anyway,
I'm just saying, did you notice on Raw that Ric Flair really did not come out? I'm just saying. Because the only time
he was in the background. Yeah, he was very much in the background on Raw. The
only time you saw him was when Charlotte was getting off the ring and they were doing a camera swipe, and then they immediately cut to commercial or to something else. I see
what you're saying 100%, and I was hoping more that was them realizing kind of what you were saying, is that eventually, cool, use Flair to push her a little bit, but she's got to survive on her own merits, so don't overdo this.
Yeah, because this match was good. It was entertaining as hell. The crowd was getting into it. Like, it wasn't... Because I know there was a match on Raw a couple weeks or probably a couple months ago between Sasha and Becky, and the crowd was chanting boring. Man, screw you, crowd. That was a good match. Yeah, and just like the match was good, and like, I don't know, just for them to end it the way they ended it was, I don't know.
It needed to go on.
Deserved a better match.
It needed to go on just a little bit more. Maybe have Becky kick out one or two more times just to get that, adrenaline rush from the crowd of maybe she can actually do this type of deal. But really, that's all I have to say about the match.
No, I want you to talk to me about the jacket. I want to hear your side of the jacket.
I laughed. I thought it was funny. I was like, oh, Ric Flair, you dog.
See,
you're what's wrong with wrestling.
That's what I actually wanted to hear, because some people thought that was a good use of Ric Flair, where he didn't physically get involved, but he still altered the course of the match. I'm not going to lie. I didn't like it. I don't know why. It just, when you have such a good women's match, and And now the only reason I'm kind of okay with it is because these two, probably plus one other, will end up in a triple threat match for the title at WrestleMania, maybe a fatal four-way. Ulysses, what about after the match? What about
Hey,
the
can I clarify something?
Yeah,
I never said that I liked it. I said it made me laugh and go, "Oh, Ric Flair, you dog."
That sounds like enjoyment to me.
I laughed. I didn't really like it necessarily as like I always hate it when matches end with, "Oh, so and so got cheated out of the win because X interfered." But it made me laugh that Ric Flair took off his jacket and threw it into the ring, kind of like
which technically should be a forfeit.
Yeah.
Now, he is known for having no respect for his clothes. Remember that.
That is true. It reminded me of a few years ago when oh God, what was that guy's name who managed the primetime players?
Abraham Washington
threw his shoe at the other tag team.
I forgot about
Yo mama.
I totally forgot about that.
Kaufman always mentions this.
All right. Now that Chris has clarified, my point still stands. He's just not one of the people who liked it. Ulysses, talk to me about post-match. What happened post-match?
Post-match, I had a mini heart attack because the greatest song in all of wrestling bursted through the arena, and that was one Sasha Banks, because she is amazing, and I don't know, like, I love it. Like, I knew, like, you could tell from the beginning that they were going to try to put the strap on Charlotte right away. Mm-hmm. But for me, she was not that much deserving. Because when she won it as a face. And I've said millions of times that I cannot stand a face Charlotte. Like, I think it's just like a face Ric Flair. It just never really worked. They're born to be heel. But now that Sasha's involved and she's kind of playing the anti-hero because she came out as the face. Like, the crowd loved it. She looked like she was going to get right into it. And then she attacks Becky and everyone's like, "Oh, no, come on, please don't." And then I'll admit, I bought into the story because I was yelling. I was mad. When they did the snap thing,
the NXT
thing that they used to do in
thing.
Yeah, what was it called? Not the Beautiful People.
No, it was the BFFs or something like that.
The BFFs, yeah, with Summer Rae.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh God damn it, not this stable crap again." And then when she went for the hair and everything, I jumped. I scared like my dogs that was like sleeping next to me. I jumped. I was screaming. I love Sasha, and I love quality wrestling, and I love good stories. And
okay.
Sasha has proven that she could do this. And then Sasha and Charlotte, they could tear the damn house down. And if they could find a way to do that fatal four-way with exactly what you said, with her, Charlotte, Becky, and I would rather have Natalya than Paige because I think Natalya deserves it more than Paige.
I'd be okay with either one of those. Yeah.
Same.
Can we address
not a face Paige. Not a face Paige.
Can we address for just 1 second the best moment and the moment I actually popped for, but nowhere near as hard as you with your marking out ass, was when Sasha came down and she started taking the jewelry off, because it just really looked like she was in that I'm about to beat somebody's ass mode.
Yeah.
It was a really good entrance.
And then the one thing I cannot stand is, I know a lot of people are going to harp on it, and now it's my turn to harp on it. What the hell, Charlotte? Like, you just completely no-sold the bank statement. And especially considering how deep she put it, because I remember when there was a match between Sasha and Charlotte where she almost had like her head touch her hip, like that's how back she bent her, and she tapped out, and Charlotte sold it like a champ, like she just rolled out of the ring and you never saw her. On this one, like after she let go, Sasha's like celebrating, and she's like right in the corner hugging her title, like if nothing happened. It's like, really? You couldn't just lay there grabbing your back or something?
I'll admit I didn't notice that until the second time I watched it upon second viewing, but it's so quick. I mean, I don't know why.
She no-sold it. There's no other way to say it.
Well, I just saying I don't know why. I wish there was an answer, because she doesn't seem like the type that normally would just be that neglectful, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know. Just that kind of ruined the moment, but it was still enough for me to go apeshit.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back to them because we're going to talk about what we want to see from them at WrestleMania. But I want to get into the big match, the spectacle of the evening, the 30-man Royal Rumble. And for those of you who don't know, and I'm pretty sure Ulysses and Chris will agree with me, this is one of the things that I look forward to every year. Even when it's bad, there's usually at least some good moment or some good pop. And last year's was pretty bad. So I didn't know what to expect, but I had a good feeling. Because up until this point, I was very pleased with this pay-per-view. Would you guys say you felt the same?
Yeah. It was obviously way better than the previous two.
Right.
Like, obviously.
So we already knew, because of plotline purposes, that Roman Reigns would enter the Royal Rumble at number 1. And I'll admit, I kind of figured that someone from the League of Nations or someone that had been feuding with Reigns was going to come out. But I thought it was going to be Sheamus. I really thought Sheamus was going to come in at number 2. However, we actually had Rusev come out. And, man, he was eliminated early, wasn't he?
Yeah. Here's a spear for your way out.
Yeah. I think the reason why, though, is because we know that later on in the Rumble, all the League of Nations comes out and they beat the shit out of Reigns. And we'll get to that in a minute. But it made way for the number 3 entrant.
Oh, boy.
I had a feeling. I was pretty sure there were a lot of people saying, nah, WWE's not going to do this. They're not going to waste his debut on a Rumble match. And some people saying that WWE, couldn't get his shit together and all the physicals in time. And I knew that was bullshit because they've gotten one-night contracts together in like 10 hours. So fuck that. Number 3, the phenomenal AJ Styles with a kind of cool DMX remix of Ain't No Sunshine. So I give him that. I actually missed the Get Ready to Fly from TNA.
Same here.
For those of you who don't know, AJ Styles is an amazing wrestler. He's been on the indies for years. He's from Gainesville, Georgia, which is literally like a trailer park. But there's something special about this guy. Like he's just a damn good wrestler. His moves are spot on. He's a little stiff, but he works the ring like he was born in it. And the guy he lives up to the phenomenal moniker in his name. So let's talk about this. Ulysses, what do you think of AJ Styles in the Royal Rumble?
I think he was great. Like great is probably too harsh of a word, but I'll break it down like this. All right. They horribly botched his entrance because they focused way too damn much on Roman's
reaction
expressions.
Yeah.
They should have exactly what they did on Raw the next night, where they had a big old zoom in on the Titantron, and it just says "I am phenomenal." Granted, it was great to hear, to see the crowd literally scratching their head, going like, "Who the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And the second it and then it was amazing that it was in Orlando. Because if you know anything about TNA,
Right.
Orlando is their home. And it just felt like that's how AJ Styles should have came. Like, I don't know who you said, who you're referring to as, they shouldn't waste his... The Rumble is probably the best way because it's an instant pop. They've brought legends back, and they've gotten probably the biggest pops they've ever gotten in their career.
Yeah.
The Rumble's the best way for him to come in.
These are all people who probably thought that they should bring him in with the rest of the Bullet Club and do some type of invasion or have him come in as some mystery opponent or something like that. The Rumble, I think they feel like has no suspense or build up because every year that there's going to be a big surprise or whatever. But this wasn't just a big surprise. This was huge. And even though we knew that he was signing the contract and all, there was still a lot of doubt whether or not he would actually appear at the Rumble match.
For me, this surprise was different because every other surprise, it's kind of like when Raw goes old school. It's like, okay, we see you now. Go home, enjoy your Ovaltine or whatever the hell old people drink. But this was a surprise where it's like, no, he's here for good. He's gonna do some stuff, and right next to WrestleMania season, so something interesting is gonna happen.
Man, I was right along with the crowd, like what you were saying. Just like I heard the music hit, I was like, who is this? I can't. And then the crowd went crazy. I'm like, no. And then the camera work was a little sloppy with the focusing in on Roman, but once it hit to AJ Styles, I'm like, this gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then the one thing I do love is I was actually afraid of this, but I do love that Vince McMahon told Michael Cole to give him the respect that he deserves, though, because he made it seem like, because if you go back and watch when Sting came back, and Sting is a big deal, obviously, it's almost identical, where Michael sold the hell out of it.
Which is cool. I like that. Yeah, okay, obviously, they were like, I think they say it's like, oh, he's been an IWGP champion twice when he came out on Raw. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to mention like his 7 or 8, TNA championships. I don't know why, but it's just funny. All right. He was great. To me, did anybody notice? What?
The great word is probably way too big. Because
he's phenomenal.
His moniker is phenomenal.
No. Hold on. I have a serious gripe about. Okay. The entrance was well done, but I have a serious gripe about this.
Okay.
Other than eliminating people, what the hell else did he do during the Rumble? They really didn't focus much on him. They should have focused more on him.
Yeah, people. I mean, he had a couple of really nice spots. That Pele kick that he did, damn. And
yes,
I'm sorry. Kick in the business. I'm sorry. The little bit of interaction he had with Jericho led up to the. Led up to the thing of Raw, which was probably my favorite part of Raw. So I don't know. I thought, I didn't. No one expected him to win. No one thought AJ Styles was going to win the Royal Rumble. It was just cool to see him come out early, to see him kick a lot of ass.
It just sucks that he was only there for like 15 minutes, maybe.
Sure, but
I will say this:
don't overexpose him on his first night. Leave them.
I will say this. For that arena, for that crowd, for this moment, they handled his exit really well.
That's what I was fixing to say. They picked the perfect person to send him out. I mean, anybody else, they would have been booed out of the stadium.
Yeah, it would have been similar to like the Daniel Bryan.
Right. Just in case people don't know and they haven't watched the Rumble yet, who threw him out?
One Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that's correct. And they had a pretty awesome stare down. But we'll get to that. Number 4 that came out, of course, was Tyler Breeze. I thought that he got eliminated accidentally because his fall was really awkward. Like, it almost looked like he slipped. 5 was Curtis Axel. I don't think anybody really cared except for the running joke, right?
Longest Rumble participant in history.
Right.
365 days and a handful of minutes.
And then 6 was Jericho, which... I like that they kind of built him up as they used Raw and SmackDown to build him up as someone who might actually win. Even though we all knew he wasn't going to win, they actually built him up a little bit more.
He was a dark horse.
He was in there for a long time. Like, he did well.
He was in there for way too long, in my opinion.
I still like Jericho, and I was really enjoying some of the stuff he was doing. To me, it was fine having him in there, especially since they had given him some of the attention before. He felt like he legit wasn't like a throwaway entrant.
All right, but serious question here. Who would you have rather see go longer in the Rumble, him or someone like AJ?
Like I said, I'm not sad about Styles because I think knowing that he signed a 2-year contract, I don't want him overexposed too early. I want the fans to want him more.
But this is the thing. If they would have let him last, like, switch the times around. Let Jericho stay as long as AJ did and let AJ stay as long as Jericho did. Instantly, to even, like, the non-smart fans, to, like, even the little kids, you implant the idea of, like, this guy is a badass because he stayed that long. Like, just, that's what I feel like. They should have built him more as a badass, which he is.
I see what you're saying. I don't think it was necessary. I think the point still got across.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know who I was wondering why this person was in the Rumble, right? Kane, number 7.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
I don't even know if he threw anyone out. He may have thrown one.
He threw R-Truth out.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Kane should have won the Royal Rumble. Kane needs to be the World Heavyweight Champion. He needs to take the TNA title.
And I think that was the weird part because it really just felt like they were putting Kane out there so he could keep his record up of having the most eliminations.
And the most consecutive Rumbles.
Yeah. Goldust was number 8.
Give him the award.
Yeah. Ryback was number 9.
Goldust is always that guy who it's always a surprise that he comes back at the Rumble and he gets a
he gets a good pop.
a good
Yeah.
pop.
Mhm.
But it's like this happens every year, and I always pop whenever I see Shattered Dreams Productions come up. But
Right.
Because his song is amazing.
No,
my ringtone.
Ryback and Kane were the two that I was going to switch out. I was actually hoping they would put a diva, like either surprise Paige entrance or maybe even Bailey. Just I mean, they don't even have to do much. Maybe eliminate one person, but I don't know. Those are always surprises to me, and it works really well. Kofi was number 10. I think we all kind of saw what they were doing with the New Day, with him being out there this year, but it worked. It worked well.
This angered me. This actually angered me. Because in the earlier tag match, why not just put Xavier there and then save Kofi for this?
Sure.
Or let Xavier do this. And then I'll just go ahead and be the villain here. I hate his antics now. Those things stop being entertaining because it's like he does his thing, but he's not going to win, so why even invest or care in it?
Yeah, I get why you say that. I don't know, man.
But I will use my
sometimes they're
words.
entertaining.
It was kind of funny to see them like parade around. That was
His
kind of
actual elimination was out of nowhere, though. Like, I missed it the first time. I really did.
Yeah,
Was he
Michael
eliminated
Cole just goes,
by Jericho? Maybe.
Wasn't it Brock? I could have sworn it was Brock.
I don't know. He
Let's
was
see. That's
he was
Let us know in the
eliminated.
comments.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Titus O'Neil was number 11, and then R-Truth came out number 12, and we all know what happened with that.
Oh, that was so funny.
I had a stroke. I had a.
I
laughed.
wasn't
I legit
laughing. I was laughing more at the fact that I know what Ulysses is doing right now, more so than the fact that
I agree.
R-Truth is getting a ladder out in the Rumble.
I legit thought it was funny, but part of why I was laughing because I was like, people are gonna hate this. But I'll admit, when I realized, I'm like, this motherfucker thinks this is Money in the Bank. It went on
funny,
too
though.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, I could go on a huge tirade, but I don't want Scoop to like censor this podcast too much, so we'll move on.
It's fine. Luke Harper was number 13. Stardust was number 14. And then around when Stardust came out, for those of you who don't know, the League of Nations comes out with Vince McMahon, which, any Vince sighting, usually a little one up there. And they did some pretty nice beatdowns, a lot of kicks. They put him through a table, just some good stuff.
Rusev held up a monitor like it was his birthright.
What did he tweet? He tweeted like, I took a
Lana
monitor, so
told me
I'm the
to-
TV champion.
Yeah, he's
Lana
like,
told me to make history. I was the first to leave with TV, so I am the new TV champion.
Something like that. You know what? I give that man that credit. That dude, yeah, you're pretty cool. All right, so one of the small parts that most people, and I'll admit, I kind of had a little bit of trouble with in the Rumble is that they take Roman out. They put him on a stretcher. He gets up off the stretcher about halfway and walks the rest of the way to the back. The big problem with this is it looks like it protects him too much, and we all knew he was coming back out. I think most of us didn't think he was going to win, but we all knew he was coming back out. So it felt very tired, and they needed something else there. They needed anything else.
yeah, I honestly thought he was gonna win after I saw that. I'm like, well, now they're gonna do this like he's some Survivor type of deal, but it's like they would have done a better job had he survived from 1 to 29 or 28 or whenever he gets eliminated, and that would have made him look stronger than I'm gonna go take a break in the back, maybe.
Yeah. When Vince McMahon
some more
announced what it really was, like what the stipulation for the match was, I knew that they couldn't let Roman win clean. Like if he was gonna win, it would have to be something funky, because the crowd would just hate it. Not like WWE cares what the crowd thinks, but I just couldn't imagine they would do that again. And so I predicted Triple H would come out and win, and that would set up WrestleMania and all that, which works fine. But I agree 100% with you. You actually still somehow managed to make me dislike Roman slightly in this match because of that whole stretcher thing.
He should have gone out on the stretcher. Like that would have made it seem more believable, because like if you're walking out of the match, you get back in the match and start fighting.
Yeah, that's
if you have to leave the match, it better be on a stretcher.
How would you have felt if he had just gotten on the stretcher and then that was it for him in that match?
That would have been interesting because that's like whenever you see like somebody leave a match, like if it's a multi-person match, you know they're coming back. But if he just left and was gone for the rest of the match, that would have actually, created some sort of storyline, maybe a Curtis Axel-esque storyline where he's still in the Rumble technically.
Yeah. What kind of happened next was interesting because you had Big Show come out, Neville, Braun, Kevin Owens at number 18, and this set up a lot of really potential big people in the ring. I loved Kevin Owens coming out, and after his stare down with AJ, he mocks AJ's pose that he does. That was priceless. But
Yes.
What made it really interesting is that number 19 and 20, you had Dean Ambrose and Sami Zayn, who both had bones to pick with Kevin Owens, apparently. So hey, that man is just hated. I love it.
Honestly, I completely forgot about Sami Zayn. And when his music hit, I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan. I'm just going to point that out. When his music hit, I got super excited. I'm like, oh, this is about to go down. Because, they did the same spot twice, which I'm fine with because, it looked cool where Kevin Owens was just duking it out with AJ, and then he duked it out with Sammy after that. And just, did he do it with Dean too?
Very briefly. Very briefly.
It's just, whenever you see them just lightning fast punches back and forth, that's always a good spot. Even though they repeated it 3 times, it still worked.
Yeah. I forgot to actually explain to the person that I was watching it with, because they don't watch NXT, that, that made a lot of sense if you watch NXT and you saw their rivalry and stuff like that. I was really glad they referenced that and brought all that in. It worked really well.
Now, you see, this is where the one really big gripe I had about this whole pay-per-view. I actually dislike how they handled Sami Zayn.
Really?
I could not stand it. Yes.
Tell me why.
Okay, so he came out to a huge pop, which warms my heart to no end because much like Kaufman, I've become a huge Sami Zayn fan. I'm not gonna be one of those that say, "Oh, I loved him when he was Generico," because I didn't. I was not aware of El Generico.
Same.
But his work as Sami Zayn itself, it's probably my favorite work of any wrestler in like the last 5 years. And I love it. He's amazing. I just hate how they build the blow off, because if this is the blow off, okay, because that's how they portrayed it as. They portrayed it as he finally got his revenge on Kevin Owens. And I know it's not just a simple elimination. It's he cost him a chance at the world title. In the long picture, that's what they're going to build it as. But these two deserve something better. They deserve to actually fight. They deserve to a 15-minute match, not a simple elimination. Because this, and you said this earlier, I believe, where you said that it led to some potential like stories or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The end of this Rumble, you left some kind of opening for stories for people like AJ, for Jericho, for Owens. You leave absolutely nothing for Sami, though. Sami is left out in the water doing nothing. And I know he has the stuff in NXT. I know he's going to do the triple threat, and that's fine. That's perfect. That's great. But in the eyes of the people who watch the main roster only and not NXT, he's nothing now because he's left out in the dust. What story do you end? Like, the way they ended with Sami Zayn, what story are you left with? You're left with nothing. See, and that angers me. See,
I didn't see that as like an ending to their story. I saw it as okay, this is a possibility on main now. This isn't where it's going to die. This is saying, hey, once Kevin Owens is done with X person, Y person, Sami Zayn's always going to be there. He's always going to be there for him. He's always going to be there to, do something to make Kevin Owens mad, like, just walk out there or something. Yeah. And then they'll start that feud again, and I'm hoping that would last for a long time, like long stretch between one of the main pay-per-views.
These two are destined for a feud on the main roster eventually, and Ulysses just worries too much about his favorites.
No, but it's not like if I'm worrying for the sake of worrying. I'm worrying because it's like what do you do next with Sammy after this? At least in the main roster, because I'm telling you, go back and watch that. Go back and listen to Michael Cole. They made it sound like, okay, they're not gonna touch each other for a while, which is sucks because there's no reason why they shouldn't have fought on Raw. There's no reason why they shouldn't be building a feud between them now.
This is one of those facts that's really arguable, and you could kind of call this different ways, but the truth is they're probably not ready to pull him up to the main roster just yet. And so this is something they're playing the long game with.
It's like in baseball. Once say a pitcher gets hurts his arm or has surgery or whatever, he doesn't run through AAA first before he gets back through the MLB. Think of it like that.
Well, let's talk about...
At least he's not a mechanic.
Let's talk about what I would call the last phase of the Rumble. The Rumble this year kind of went into 3 pretty decent phases. And this one is where we have, of course, Rowan come in, Mark Henry, and then at number 23, we had Brock Lesnar. And to me, I'm not the biggest Lesnar fan, but watching him destroy some people is always fun. What did you think about Lesnar's part in the Rumble, Ulysses?
The only proper way to say it is Suplex City. It was amazing. Like, it is fun to finally see a true animal wrestle, and it's like the best thing because wrestlers have been booked as monsters before, but just to see him legitimately destroy the entire ring, it was amazing. Like, yeah. I love that. It's the best. It's like when you go to the zoo and you see like lions eat the meat and like they just rip it apart. That's kind of what you just saw a tiger eat. It was amazing. I love that.
It's like with Brock Lesnar, it's always like you see him, he's about to go do something. It's like there's no way he's about to do that, and then he suplexes Braun Strowman like he's Callisto, just throws him halfway across the ring. Like, how are you doing? You should not be able to do this. And then, I mean, this is when I was like, yep, Brock Lesnar definitely the scariest person on this earth. I do not want to be in the same room with him.
Right.
And then it was frustrating the way he got eliminated because he was my pick to win the whole thing. Because,
was it? Yeah.
Yeah. And that was probably my only gripe with how he got eliminated. But I do like what it set up because it's new.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
Nobody thought coming out of this they'd see a Bray versus Brock match.
Well, a few months...
They built to that.
Yeah, a few months ago, there was a rumor going around that it was going to be Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at Fastlane. And obviously, that made the whole Wyatt family thing. And the last few episodes of Raw before this, you saw the Wyatt family in the previous episode destroy Lesnar. So it was building. It was a quick build, but it was nice. So...
Can I say something about that real quick?
Sure.
I actually like that. And that's kind of what I don't like, but what I also didn't like about this Rumble. Steven, you know my biggest gripe about the Wyatt family is the fact that they're no longer really scary, that the fact that what they were booked as, they're no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing a good job of building them back up. Just for like, they did nothing, essentially. Like, it would have been better if like them as a group would have destroyed Lesnar or whatever, but I don't know, like,
granted they did eliminate all of the big men, like they eliminated Kane and Big Show.
They were
and
dominant.
Mark Henry.
They were pretty dominant.
Yeah, and then like
one person eliminated all of them.
It's like you did such a good job of building them strong.
Granted, that one person is a legit animal, so. You know, and it took all 4 of them to get him out.
Yeah. So Swagger came out at 24. The Miz came out at 25, and I actually thought the funniest part about that was that he was doing the thing that I just, if I was the Miz, I would have done too. Oh, Lesnar's in the ring. Well, I'm gonna stay right here on commentary.
I just can't stand his voice.
I know. ADR came out 26, and the thing that made me almost think that Bray might actually win this is he got that coveted 27 spot, which, as we all know from watching the promos, has created the most winners of the Royal Rumble. I thought Bray looked really good. You mentioned all the stuff already with Lesnar. Ziggler came out at 28. I'm a big Ziggler fan. I know we already kind of had this discussion with Ulysses, but I there was no way he was going to win, but it was funny. But then we got Sheamus at 29, and I think I knew, and I think both of you guys knew. You knew who 30 was, right? You knew who it was going to be.
You overlooked a return of one Roman Reigns at 29 as well, by the way.
Oh yeah, you're right. So Roman Reigns, for those of you who don't know, did come back out, and I think he did a pretty cool run in where the first thing he did was Superman punch Sheamus. So it looked cool him coming back, but
kind of made the whole injury thing look like a complete
I was like,
work.
okay, I guess he just needed that 5 minutes, or whatever to rest.
Yeah, and this point has been proven by everybody on the internet, but it deserves another mention. It's like Kevin Owens comes out and he's hobbling on one leg. Dean Ambrose comes out and he's like grabbing his midsection and stuff. And then Roman, who gets legitimately crushed by a 320-pound man on a table, comes out sprinting like he just won a gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you would have just came up, like, hell, come out with like something taped up, for God's sake.
Rib tape. Rib tape over the vest.
No, I agree. Why not at least, or take this as an opportunity to come out without the vest on and maybe with the tape, or with, throw some makeup on there and give him a couple bruises. I don't know. Done something.
Or something even better where it's like, let Sheamus cleanly come in. Hell, let Triple H come in after that. And then have Roman come in, like, when there's a big old clusterfuck, have him, like, fight off the medical staff, like, pushing him off, saying, like, no, I'm getting in there.
Yeah,
kind of a
something
thing.
like that.
Something like that.
Oh, and keep in mind, Chris Jericho is still in the match at this point.
Yeah, I don't think he got eliminated until after Trips came out, right?
He was the final 5. I remember that because I was thinking, well, he's going to be in the final 4, and then as soon as I thought that, he got eliminated.
Like I said, I like that they showed him as he was a contender. He wasn't going to make it, but he was a contender. I think the thing that all of us can also agree on, I knew that Triple H was going to win. It's just the perfect setup. But I really thought it was going to come down to Triple H and Reigns, which I was on. But man, when it came down to be fucking Ambrose Triple H, I was legitimately excited.
That was a very, very pleasant surprise. Kudos to WWE.
Agreed.
Dude, and Trips' crotch chop to Roman after he eliminated it.
There was so many gifs of that on Twitter.
Why are people acting like if that's a new thing?
It's not. It's classic Triple H, and the way he does it to Roman. It's just, I don't know. It was so well timed.
I wasn't expecting it because this is the game Triple H. This isn't DX Triple H. Going around crotch chop and everything.
Yeah.
I expect him to be more serious, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, he doesn't care. He just wants to get Roman out of there.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly pleased, and I think I already was enjoying the Royal Rumble. I was already enjoying the match, knowing that Trips was going to win. I was pleased with the outcome, but I gotta say, man, when they had Ambrose in there at the end, and there was that split second, just for that slightest moment where you thought that there was a possibility. What if they let Ambrose win, and WrestleMania was friend versus friend for the title? But it didn't happen. We knew it wasn't going to happen, but there was that slight moment. It was that split second.
If Seth Rollins wouldn't have been in that match, there's no way.
I think that was their original plan. I really think had things proceeded, I think Roman would have gotten the title off Seth, and I think the Rumble and Fastlane would have set it back up where you would have had the triple threat between the former Shield members. But sadly, Rollins injuries happen. I'm A-okay with this right now.
That is actually what I came away with this Rumble, is that God, injuries suck. Don't they just, like...
So you wanted Cena in the Rumble, is what you're saying. You wanted Randy Orton taking somebody's spot in the Rumble?
Honestly, I did. I mean...
Yeah. Look,
take Curtis Axel and...
Take Curtis Axel out. Take Jack Swagger. Take Mark Henry
But they
out.
wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have taken out Kane. They wouldn't have taken out those people. They would have taken out Sami Zayn or, somebody else that you wanted to see.
But this is the thing. Granted, who knows? John Cena wouldn't have been in the Rumble. He might have been in the U.S. title picture.
He could have
been.
Granted,
you take Kalisto out of there, but whatever. And then even this, you're looking at it the wrong way. You're looking at it like this. Put Randy Orton in the thing, right? Let's just say someone like Kevin Owens or someone like Sami Zayn eliminates Randy Orton. like Randy Orton looks like he sounds like the kind of guy who would probably do a job for somebody.
Sure.
Like that, you're not gonna walk away with like, oh, he eliminated R-Truth. No, you're gonna walk away with, holy hell, like they actually let Kevin Owens eliminate Randy, who's arguably like the number 2 guy or whatnot.
Okay. All right, so let's wrap this up. Let's talk real quick. Knowing what happens now, knowing everything we know, what's the one feud you really want to see now at WrestleMania? What's the one thing, knowing everything we know, that you want to see?
Well, everybody's going to say Owen Styles, so I'm going to go off the cuff a little bit and say Lesnar Wyatt.
I think that'll at least happen at Fastlane, but I think they'll stretch that out till WrestleMania. So yeah, I think you got a good chance of seeing that. What about you, Ulysses?
Yeah, I kind of have to say I agree with that. Everyone probably would say Owen Styles, but no, mine would be Sasha Charlotte.
Yeah, I definitely think we're getting a triple threat match at least for the women's title, but I would be happy with just Sasha being involved at WrestleMania. I think that would be amazing, especially with Naomi hurt right now. I think Team Bad's kind of done for. And no offense to Tamina, I love Tamina, but with her dad having all his legal trouble right now and Naomi hurt, I think she's going to get the shit end of that stick. But I agree. Mine personally, I got to say, now that we know that we have AJ, I actually wouldn't mind. For those of you who missed it, Raw had an amazing Chris Jericho AJ Styles match, and what if those two fought as like the opening match at WrestleMania? I think that would be great.
Also, I just thought of a good way for WWE to book the Lesnar Bray match. It's really simple. Just have Lesnar v Strowman at Fastlane and have Lesnar win via DQ. Then at WrestleMania, steel cage match, Bray versus Brock. The others can't get in, and Bray Wyatt's going to die because it's literally a caged animal.
And I agree with you. And as I said earlier, I know at one point that was the plan, at least the Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at Fastlane. That was legit one of their plans. So they still get that. Okay, really quick. Ulysses, do you have your llama penis?
What?
Do you have your llama penis?
That information shouldn't leave my room.
Oh, okay.
But yes.
Yes. The Rock came back for anybody who missed it, and I think one of the funniest parts, I know Ulysses was bitching about it on Twitter, but that's just Ulysses. That's what he does. And
Rock is not funny.
He said something about the New Day wearing llama penises on their foreheads, and I love that the New Day's response was cover the mic and talk about how you couldn't say penis on television, yet knowing we can still hear you. And he said something about Plan A to Big E and Big E goes, Plan P? I got snipped already. I think that joke went under the radar for a lot of people because it was really quick. It was really quick. So we know The Rock's going to be involved. Do you want to see The Rock wrestle, or would you rather he just have as little screen time as possible? Chris?
Little screen time as possible.
Ulysses?
Wouldn't Matt? I would want him to wrestle only if he loses.
Damn, am I the only Rock fan here? All right, fine. What is that? All right, we are out of time.
You would rather him bury the New Day?
No, I don't want him to bury the New Day.
Exactly.
We are out of time. I want to thank both of you for joining me. I'm really glad that we all seem to enjoy this Royal Rumble, and maybe next year when we're having this conversation, we can share that same sentiment. But till then, I want to thank you, Ulysses.
Don't worry, people. We'll be back to shit on Fastlane.
I want to thank you, Chris.
No problem.
And both of their information, Twitter, stuff like that, it's all in the description. You know where to find us. And until next time, take it easy.